Our Family Wizard co-parenting app. What can our Family Wizard do for you? A conversation with Kevin Dorsey. That is our topic for today. Welcome to the Lawyers and Mediators International Show and Podcast by instantmediations.com, where we discuss law and conflict resolution topics to educate both professionals and everyday people. Catch regular episodes on YouTube, the Instant Mediations app, and anywhere you get your podcasts. Just remember, nothing in these episodes constitutes legal advice, so be sure to talk to a lawyer, as cases are fact-dependent. Hey everyone, this is Mac Pierre-Louis, attorney, mediator, arbitrator, working throughout Florida and Texas.
And Natalia Olowska-Czajka, advocate, mediator, and arbitrator from Warsaw, Poland, with our special guest today, Kevin Dorsey of OurFamilyWizard.com. And please, Kevin, present yourself to those who don't know you. And I need to embrace and underline that many lawyers and judges do because of what you do and because of the product that you are representing. But please tell us something about yourself.
Thanks, Natalia. Thanks, Mac. I'm Kevin Dorsey. I'm a senior professional liaison with Our Family Wizard. What that means is I do judicial education, continuing legal education. I work with family law practitioners to teach them how to use Our Family Wizard, how to best utilize it in their cases.
Awesome. Kevin, you're based out in Minneapolis, or?
That's correct. Yeah. So I grew up here in Minneapolis. I went to school at University of Denver. So I was out there for 4 years. I actually studied music, believe it or not. But I did minor in political science. So I've always been interested in legislation, and I've always been really into technology. So I moved back to Minneapolis after school and really like working with people and technology. So that's how I kind of found my way to Our Family Wizard. I've been there 6 years, going on 7 now. And the company's actually been around for 20 years now, believe it or not.
Yeah. No, awesome. We always love to hear something special about people, to what makes them unique. What instrument did you play?
So I play keyboards and I sing a little bit. And
Awesome.
I actually played tuba growing up as well. So a little bass guitar. So a little bit of everything.
Wow, there you go. You see, we had no idea. Awesome. Good to hear that.
Yeah.
All right. So our topic for today, as everyone can see on the screen, is Our Family Wizard co-parenting app. What can that app do for you? I'm gonna share my screen while I talk, because this is actually a topic I really wanted to have for a very long time. I've talked to Natalia about this for years. Actually, it's that Our Family Wizard is a tool that I've used in my own law office for years. Okay, I've recommended it to parents because it basically helps parents co-parent better, especially parents who have parent conflict issues or co-parenting issues. And sometimes, look, most parents love their kids, but they might not do real well in talking with each other. And so I just remember dealing with Our Family Wizard, what I would say since 2014 really is when I really started, pushing it to different folks. So I'm not getting a kickback or anything what I'm by saying this. This is the go-to standard, okay? The tool of choice by many mediators, lawyers, judges, courts all across the country in the US. I don't know if you're international, maybe you can speak about that, but the tool that helps people just be better when it comes to co-parenting. But so with that, by the way, if you're listening to the podcast, I'm sharing my screen, familywizard.com. You can check out the YouTube version of this video to see the website itself. But Kevin, the floor is yours. Please tell us, what does this tool do, and what are its benefits, and what can it do for you, please?
Yeah, let me start by talking about, you mentioned, are we international? We're used in 72 countries, believe it or not.
Wow.
We have offices in the US, Australia, New Zealand, and the UK. So we've grown quite a bit. So we started here in Minneapolis 20 years ago. It's been used in all 50 states, all throughout Canada, throughout the rest of the world. Started by a family court judge here, started by a family lawyer here who brought it to a family court judge. And that judge took his most high conflict cases, put them into OFW, which at the time was, just a .com site. And what he found was a lot of those families didn't need to come back to court. And when they were coming back to court, they were more prepared because the records were authenticated. And so the big thing, if you're a judge out there, if you're litigating, if you're a parent even, we're trying to reduce excessive litigation. So a lot of these cases, people are going back to court over and over again. We want to give the parents tools to resolve a lot of this conflict on their own. That way they're not going back to court. And if they do, all the communication, calendar, expenses, all that stuff's documented. So that's the background. The guy who actually started the company or came up with the idea was a parent of divorce. And so the story goes, him and his co-parent were handing a notebook back and forth. It had this type of information on it. They miss a pickup on Christmas. World War III breaks out between the two, and that's when he comes up with the idea. So he brought it to his family law practitioner friend who brought it to the judge. So that's the background. What are we in a nutshell? It's a communication platform for divorced and separated families. So rather than using email, text, Facebook Messenger, there's a million ways to communicate. All of the parents' communication goes through Our Family Wizard. It's highly documented, it's court admissible. And the idea, again, give these parents tools. They're in a tough position, right? They're highly emotional. They might be struggling communicating. Give them tools to help communicate better.
And you are mentioning to improve communications. I already know because you teach a lot of lawyers, and I was amongst them on one of the conferences, on the AFL conferences in the New Orleans. This is where we met. And you've been telling us about the functionalities that exist within the app. And some of them were truly amazing. I know that recently you have improved this to also be the geolocation approved, so that it shows in real time someone's location and saves it. But I know it's just one of many. What I was also impressed by was the tool that actually polishes the language people use between themselves. Can you tell us about, first of all, functionalities, but also little tricks that the app does to make people be better parents and better communicate together?
Yeah, my pleasure. So the first one you mentioned is called check-ins. So the check-ins is within the journal feature. The journal feature used to be on the calendar. Now we've broken it out. It's its own feature. And so a check-in is a geolocated check-in, for lack of a better term, so that if I want to show I'm ready for a pickup in a specific place for a custody exchange, for a parenting time exchange, I can do that. So they're not tracking each other in real time. I'm opting in to sharing my location with my co-parent for that time being. What's unique about it, it's limited to within 500 feet of where the phone is, so you can't spoof location. I think on another episode, we're going to talk about spoofing location, so there's a teaser for that. But just know that you're opting into sharing your location for that one moment, and it's going to date and timestamp it. It's going to drop a pin where you are. You can even attach a picture, so you could say, here, I'm in the north parking lot of the high school, and you can see when the co-parent sees it. And it just gets rid of the he said, she said on, well, were you there? Were you on time? I didn't see them. We couldn't find each other. It should clear up those issues. And then the second one, tone meter. So tone meter is, I describe it as an emotional spell check. So while they're typing their messages, they're getting feedback on their tone. So think about like how Microsoft Word corrects your spelling or grammar. This is going to call out their tone, and it'll pick up on swear words. It'll pick up on, certain phrases. But what I like about it, it picks up on subtleties too, kind of like passive aggressive things. So if I type, don't be late as usual, it's going to give me a pop-up and it's going to say, that's aggressive. And it's kind of like a little yellow light to say, are you sure you want to send that? Now, what I'll tell you, there it is. Yep. So we don't have people reading this. Max showing it for the audio only listeners, Max showing it on the screen. So we don't have people reading this. It's an algorithm. And what we found is when people get feedback on their tone, their emotion comes down and their logic goes up. And the idea is they're going to rewrite the message before they send it. So instead of saying, don't be late as usual, maybe they can say, please be on time. So that's Tone Meter in a nutshell.
Awesome. Yeah, let me stop my share. So the tool itself, there's a fee for it, right? But what if there's a parent who can't, who has problems with the other co-parent, but they're not in a position to pay for it?
Good question. So we have a fee waiver. Basically, if your client's declared indigent, their attorney's working pro bono, they're on government assistance like food stamps, and they can show proof of that, we'll waive the fee completely. How it works, it's an annual subscription. So they would get 1 year complimentary, and they'd have to reapply the next year. That being said, our base price is $99 per year per parent. That's US. We've kept it at that price for 20 years. So we're 100% aware that these families are going through a tough time financially. A lot of times they're spending a lot of money on mediation or on litigation. So we want to be sensitive to that. So we think that's a super reasonable price for a year. And the idea is that should pay for itself, right? Because if you're communicating better and you're empowering yourself to resolve this conflict on your own, you're not going back to court. You're not going back to mediation. So the $100 should pay for itself. But to your point, we do have that fee waiver. If you're an attorney, mediator, family law practitioner, judge, if you send us that form, you can email it to me, kevin@OurFamilyWizard.com. We'll push it through. You don't need to provide proof. So we'll take your word for it that your client or litigant qualifies.
This is awesome, and it's good to know. But back to the functionalities of the program, I was also impressed by the fact that you can also now present the proofs of purchase, for example, so the expenditures that someone actually encumbered, but also just regular calendaring. So people can share a common calendar within the app so that they can just make common appointments and common decisions directly on the calendar without going back and forth. And I'll let you expand on that because I also find it fascinating.
Yeah, so I'll talk about the expenses piece first. A lot of times there's conflict around, what do you owe me? What do I owe for doctor's visits, dentists, school supplies, sports. Kids have more activities than ever. There's more expenses coming from different places. So what we allow people to do is right from their phone, they can request a reimbursement. So if I go to the doctor, I just paid a copay. I'm sitting in the waiting room. I can snap a picture of the copay with OFW app and request reimbursement. Co-parent has a chance to approve it or deny it, and we can link up our checking accounts. We can make payments through the site as well. That also has reporting functions. So you'll be able to see reports of who's paid what, what's owed, what's been declined, things like that. So that's expenses. I'll jump over to the calendar, which you touched on next. So the calendar, it's specifically designed for co-parenting. So let's say you're in a mediation, you recommend OFW to your clients and they say, oh, we'll just use Google Calendar. We'll use Outlook. Problem with that, it's not specifically designed for co-parenting. So we have templates set up for the 2-2-3 for every other weekend. For in Texas, they have a standard possession order. We have templates for that where they can say, okay, here's parent 1, here's parent 2. We want this schedule to go for a whole year. And it's color coded for who has overnights. The pickups and drop-offs are color coded by the parents. You can't delete things once they're in the past, so it locks from editing. So you can only edit things up until they happen. And then what we've added there, that calendar template has been added. And then things like trades. I want to trade a weekend. I want to trade a day. Rather than going back and litigating that, you can propose trades on your own. The last piece on the calendar I'll touch on is holidays. So a lot of times, Christmas, Hanukkah, Thanksgiving, birthdays, those are huge points of, high pressure of who gets the kids when. They can put those holidays in, they'll override the parenting schedule. And once that holiday is completed, it'll revert back to the original schedule. I even work with a dad who takes the kids fishing the first week of June every year. They call it Dad's Fishing Trip. They put it in as a holiday. It overrides the parenting schedule. And so there's a couple uses there to hopefully help the families communicate better.
Awesome. Lots of good, features, and that's thought about common areas of conflict between parents. I was just dealing the other day with an issue involving unreimbursed medical expenses that we're supposed to have been paid 50-50, but they weren't by one parent, and the other parent documented it through our family wizard. And as an attorney, representing one of the parents, I was able to successfully confirm what that parent was owed because the court order said use the app, and they were able to show it. So very, very, very helpful feature. Now, as a mediator, when I'm neutral between the parents, I've recommended our family wizard because it's a way for parents to, again, communicate better. Because a mediator is going to be out of their lives once their 4, 5, 6, 8 hours is done. And then usually the courts as well will be gone, but they still got to deal with each other. And some of the parents just have not figured it out, even after 1, 2, 3 parenting courses, right? And so this tool will always stay and last with you up until the kid's 18th birthday or graduation from high school, whichever is last. And so it's a good tool, to have. And I've had people use it voluntarily without needing to be court ordered. So it's not like they have to have a court order or a judge tell them to do this, right? They can just download it right now themselves to see if it will be able to make their co-parenting better. But as we're starting to wrap up with time, can you go into the exporting of the archive feature, the communication feature? Because this tool is very important. When you brought up the phrase earlier about this thing being automatically admissible in court as evidence. This is crucial. Folks sometimes think they can go to court and just show anything to a judge. Well, my usual question is to my client is, well, how do we know that you didn't just Photoshop that in your basement, right?
Yep.
We need to have satisfactory evidence that is authentic. And so how does our family wizard help in that way?
Yep. So I want to touch on something you said before, that when you're a mediator and you've come to the agreement, how do you ensure success, right? After the mediation's done. And OFW is one of those tools. We're not the be all end all, but we're in line with parenting education, things like SoberLink, OFW, mental health therapy, those kind of things. So we're a tool in your toolbox to help you ensure success after the mediation's done. Another thing you mentioned is, hey, you don't have to be court ordered to do this. You don't have to come to an agreement. We're kind of pigeonholed into the high conflict world, but really, if you just need it for expenses, you can use it for that. You don't have to use the messaging feature. So know that it's not just for high conflict families. Anyone can use it. So back to the messaging feature, the way we distinguish ourselves, date and timestamps for read receipts. If I send you a message, you open it up, it's going to date and timestamp when it's read. That's from parent to parent. So you know when a message has been seen or when it hasn't been seen. We've got tone meter, which we talked about. The other thing is, once a message is sent, it cannot be deleted. So let's say I bring in a stack of emails to court. Maybe I deleted one. Maybe I changed a date or time. Text messages. You can go into your text app and delete single text messages. So just know, when you print off message reports from our family wizard, they're 100% authenticated. Nothing's been removed. The date and timestamp read receipts are there. One last thing I wanted to touch on before we close up, I know we're at time, is the professional accounts. So I know there's a lot of practitioners listening. You get your own account for free. You get your own username and password. It allows you to link up with the clients you're working with, and then you can print off those reports. You can monitor the communication. Your clients don't need to screenshot you on, look what my co-parent said today, and they send you a blurry screenshot,
Exactly.
So you can go in, you can see that stuff for yourself. All you have to do is send them a request, or they send a request to link up. Once that's approved, you have access. It also protects you from changing documentation. So if you click on an unread message, it stays unread. The parents don't know when you're logging in. They just know that you're linked up.
That's very important. I just gotta say this. I've had parents tell me, "Hey, here's my username and password to log into our family wizard so you can see what's going back and forth." The problem with that is exactly what you said, and that is, in effect, you would have read a message that
Yep.
could then create certain liabilities, for your client. So that's a very good, important reason why professionals need to have their own professional account, not use their clients.
Yes. 100%.
So, having said that, I hope we managed to convince everybody that our family wizard can do something for you, whether you are a parent that needs to be in a co parenting situation, or you are an attorney, or a mediator that seeks effective tools for the mediating clients to be able to either temporarily or for a long time be able to communicate better, or you're a judge that deals with family law matters. And having said that, I want us to say ciao to everybody listening and watching. Please stay tuned in. We'll be having Kevin with us again for some more talk about tracking devices and how technology can trick us also in the family matters. I hope you'll join us for that too. And signing off, Natalia Olowska-Czajka.
And Mac Pierre-Louis.
I'm Kevin Dorsey. You can reach me at kevin@ourfamilywizard.com. Happy to set up continuing legal education or a one-on-one or tutorial for your firm. Thank you.
Thank you.